This is crazy! I'm about to tell you the secret behind making your copy and video scripts far more compelling to your audience. Now I want you to take a moment to think. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and thought to yourself, this person is out of this world, I love them? Or maybe you've hired an employee and they just didn't seem to understand where you're coming from. Or, and this is most likely why you're watching this, your marketing copy isn't attracting the right audience and you're not sure why. Hi, I'm Michael and I'm the technical director and one of the marketing mentors at Girl Director. If you're a busy business owner, then you need to subscribe to this channel. We pack our videos full of valuable information that is going to help you transform your business with video and marketing. But if you don't have time to watch lots of videos, and many people don't, then maybe you just want high-level help from the experts. In which case, you should click here and book in a session to speak with us, because we can help you in so many ways you can't even imagine right now. So on with the show. In this video, I'm going to break down how you can communicate better by understanding the person you're talking to on a whole other level. I learned about this method many years ago, and I've implemented it when working with teams, working with clients and other companies, and even every marketing campaign we ever run. It's life-changing and something I usually only share with people in our Girl Director Academy Mastermind, which is our coaching and mentoring program. Let's get straight into it. Now, even if you have already heard of the DISC model, this is my take on it, because I use it in a very practical way. So be sure to stay to the end, because I'm going to let you in on a few key lessons on how to use it in your video marketing specifically. So what is the DISC model? The DISC model is a personality profiling method. Now, it breaks people up into four main categories. The D for dominant, the I for influencer, the S for steady, and the C for compliant, sometimes called conscientious. So let's break down this model a little bit more to understand them. The D and the C are both task-orientated, whereas the I and the S are both people-orientated. The D and the I are both outgoing, and the C and the S are both reserved. If you want to learn more about the DISC model, there's a whole bunch of different ways of profiling yourself out there online. There are courses, there's all kinds of things. But I just want to talk to you about the real basics, the most salient points that make DISC so powerful. And this is what I use all the time, as you'll see. So first of all, let's talk about the four different types. So with the D, the dominant, that is the classic company director. Okay, the dominant is someone who is very task-orientated and they're the big picture thinker. They're also somebody who likes to lead from the front. They like to actually get out there and do stuff. But they're not always the people who are doing all the detailed stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. Then there's the I, the influencer. The influencer is the person who is very verbose, loves to be on stage, is very active, someone who's very animated, and they're very people-orientated. The S is your steady. The steady person is someone who's more of a nurturer, more of a one-on-one kind of person. They like to carefully consider things and they can be very empathetic in that way. And then the C is the compliant, or as I mentioned before, the conscientious. I've always learnt it from the compliant side, and it's the same thing, but the compliant is the classic kind of accountant or very detailed scientist, the person who really likes to get the details right, likes to finish things. Now, there's a couple of ways I love to explain this to make you really understand what I'm talking about. So let's imagine you're at a pool party and there's the pool, and the D is the person who sees the pool, jumps straight in, and they're swimming around and they've gotten into it, nothing to stop them, they just did it. The I is the person who's jumping around saying, hey everyone, I'm jumping in the pool, I'm jumping in the pool, watch me, I'm jumping in the pool. And the S is the person who dips their toe in the water first and they feel it and they cool. Okay, and then maybe they want to go at the shallow end first and start there and they get in, and once they're in, they just love it. And they're often the one who stays in the longest. And the C, and I'm having a bit of fun here, the C is the one who likes to check the pH first and make sure that, is the pool filter being cleaned recently? Is this safe? This is good? Okay, now I can jump in. Now, commonly with the DISC model, you'll find that there are two main parts that are common with you. You might have more. We all have a certain section of all four of them, but Commonly they go together, you've got two things. So the classic company director, think of it this way, is a D and an I. They're big picture. The D likes to lead from the front. They make stuff happening. Entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs are very D orientated. But also, if they're people who like to be in front of crowds, they love doing the public speaking, they love being on stage, and they love the accolades. That's the DI combination, classic CEOs. There are CEOs I've come across as well who aren't very big on the I, but they're always D in my experience. Now, the I classically would be an actor, public speaker, news presenter on telly who love to be, very much in the spotlight. They're people who are going to be actually doing that sort of stuff. So that's your classic I. Now your S is you often get the I and the S because they're both people orientated. And I'm an I and an S. I love being on stage. I love talking to groups of people. I'm very comfortable in front of that. But I also love that really strong S connection, that one-on-one connection. I develop very strong relationships with people and I really love the detailed time. So I might go to a party and one night I'm on form and I'm just in that big I mode and I'm the life of the party. Other times I'm not in that mood. I just really want to sit down and have a really good conversation with someone, and that's what I'll do. Now the C being the detailed person, they're the finisher. So you think about it, if you've got a company director and they're big picture and there are all these things going on, what often happens? They don't complete the details. They rely on someone else doing that. They have an idea, they want to get the job done, and they are great to have a C behind them getting things finished, doing all the detailed stuff. A classic example of a C in that case would be an executive assistant. In fact, I've known a few executive assistants to very high level CEOs. And there's one lady, I'll never forget her. She was the loveliest lady, really soft. She was a classic C and an S. So she was very one-on-one, very nurturing, and she got the job done. She was brilliant. And her CEO, who was in a very top company in Australia, he would ring her at any time of the night with an idea. He'd go, I've got this great idea, let's do this. And she would just, yep, great, take the call. And she would then, by the time he got into work on the next day, she had already started getting things moving, got teams working, and she organized everything and got the job done for him. Massive organizer. She got paid very well for it too, and deservedly so. So those sort of combinations are really good. Now, nurses, people who are health workers are often S's and they want to connect with that. Some company directors can still be D's and S's because they're connecting with a one-on-one level. But what can happen is the different types of personalities can sometimes be a conflict. So you want to think about in your teams, where does this work? I mentioned before leading teams. In a team, as your CEO, you want to make sure you have a C, a finisher, who finishes things and gets jobs done. If you have a company that's all D's and I's, they'll all be talking about a lot of things, have lots of ideas, but where does the work get done? You want to have all those things matched up. So when you understand these things, it comes down to then thinking, who are you talking to in your marketing? If I'm having a conversation with someone, I can very quickly hear by the way they speak, just what kind of personality they are. You'll quickly work out if there's someone who doesn't want to muck around with all the fluffy stuff. They just want to cut to the chase. What are you going to give them? What are you going to do for them? Very D behavior. The I might be someone you're talking to and they love the fact that you're very dynamic and that's what they relate to, and they want to see all that lovely, beautiful stuff that's going to happen. They're very beatific in that way. So they're going to love all that, but also because you want to make sure that they don't get distracted, you want to make sure you keep them focused, because the classic I thing is they can get very excited by one thing and they move on to the next thing. They get distracted by someone else, another great influencer who's to them inspiring. Now the S is a classic example when if you want them to make a quick decision, don't do that, nurture them. Let them have a chance to think about it, mull it over. Develop trust with them. They're very much about trust. You want to make sure trust is there. If you don't have trust, then they're going to be very uncomfortable buying from you. Now, when it's a C, you want to give them what information they need. So you can hear when they're talking, they're going to ask you, and they're going to say all those questions that make you think, okay, this is someone I really need to make sure that I have everything covered. And when they've carefully considered everything and read all your marketing material, read your contracts, that's when they'll be ready to sign. And with everyone, all four versions of this different modality, as soon as you give them what they want, then they'll be happy, they'll want to work with you. Now, the same thing comes in your marketing. So you want to appeal to all four of these. At the same time, when it comes to things like landing pages, just think about how would you lay out your landing pages in your marketing so that they appeal to the different modalities. Think about that. There's a whole area of this that I go into in our training. So if you're interested in learning more about this in detail, then make sure you sign up and talk to us, because this is exactly the kind of stuff that we cover in our Girl Director Mastermind, because this is stuff that doesn't take 5 minutes to go through. It's a science to it. If you want to see more videos, then this video here is all about the 10 common marketing mistakes we see all the time. But if you're sick of watching how-to videos and you're serious about taking control of your marketing to become visible as a leader in your industry, then it's time to chat. Book a session with us through this link here.